is Melina Nikma, and now I will tell you about my frightening life experience. When I was 3 years old, I was invited by my parents to migrate in Kalimantan, more precisely East Kalimantan, and the name of the city was Tarakan. Why did my family and I go overseas to Tarakan? Because at that time my father was told to take care of the pawns there, and he couldn't bear to leave us, me and my mother. Finally, we went to Tarakan. About the journey from Pati, my residence, to Tarakan is very long. First, I took a bus from Pati to Surabaya and stopped at Tanjung Perak Harbor. After that, continue my trip by feeder ship for 4 days and 3 nights. And after that, I arrived in Tarakan? No, I have to continue the journey again, which is to take a Kerinci ship for 5 days and 4 nights. I certainly feel bored at that time on the ship, but my mother always comforted me and got rid of my boredom. After about 9 days on the ship, I arrived at the port of Tarakan. Arriving there, we walked to the house about 20 minutes, because at that time no one picked up us. By the way, I got this detailed information from my mother, because I'm very difficult to remember about this. Okay, I will continue my story again. When I in Tarakan, I was living in a house on stilts on the edge of the pond. At that time, the distance of one house to another house is very far, about 3 hectares. So, I don't have a playmate other than my mother. But every 3 months, I'm invited to the capital city to buy food supplies. Okay? One night, my mother and I were alone at home because my father went to help his friends harvest fish. At that time, it was raining very hard and strong winds, so that my roof made from aluminium made a very noisy sound. I was very scared that night, but my mother tried to calm me down until I fell into a deep sleep. When I was sleeping, suddenly my mother woke me up and screamed in a fear. It turns out there was a large python. My mother's size as big as an adult thing. They snuck in the kitchen and entered through the kitchen window. The snake has eaten 2 chickens in my kitchen. My mother was confused about it. What should she do? She wanted to ask for help. Surely, no one will hear because the distance from one house to another house is very far. Finally, my mother carried me out of the house while walking along the narrow muddy paths, because right and left were ponds. Along the way, I cried because I felt scared and cold because the carried away the wind. The umbrella that my mother was carrying was carried away by the wind. After about half an hour of walking, I finally saw a house of my father's friends named Mr. Basir. It was already late at night after my mother thought about the incident that happened and calmed herself. Finally, Mr. Basir invited us to stay at his house. In the morning, I returned home and it turns out that the python had eaten all the chicken in my kitchen, which numbered around 7 chickens. My mother was very surprised to see all the chicken disappear eaten by snakes. In the end of the story, we went back to Pati because my mother was afraid that the incident would be replayed again. And she was very traumatized with this incident. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you.